Okay, my next two projects are pretty simple, and one is a redo of a project I did earlier. These pine boards you see here that are shrink wrapped, they're for my daughter. She's got floating shelves that she built for her house in Indianapolis, using some tools that she got from a friend or had access to from a friend. But she doesn't have the capacity to do 5.5 feet and 8 foot floating shelves. So I'm going to do those for her. It's pretty simple woodworking. It's just she wants an exact 3/4 inch space between the two pieces of the top and the bottom, those two long pieces, and then faced off on the front and faced off on one side is all. She's gonna come up with the brackets to mount to the wall and everything else. I may have to help her out with that too, but at any rate, I'm just gonna cut I've got two 6-footers and two 8-footers that have to get ripped, so that when I have that face frame and the side piece, it ends up being exactly 8 feet by 12 inches deep. 8 feet long, 12 inches deep, and then probably 2 1/8 to 2 1/4 inch thick. Even though I don't need this Jorgensen clamp here, I installed it anyway, but because when I do the 8-footers, it'll keep them from tipping on me. And I've got a clamp this way to keep it from moving. So let's make this first cut and see how we're doing here. Just a combo blade I've got in the table saw. Leave this one alone. Grab my square. I like it when you get it right the first time. That's good. So I'll square up the 4 ends. You can see this is getting a little tippy in there. I'll square up the 4 ends, then flip them and cut them to length. So rather than cut these boards separately, which means you measure and mark twice, I'm going to cut them both at the same time. just ripped a bunch of strips here, and they're slightly oversized, about 20 thousandths over 3/4. And they're nice and consistent. I like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do with these spacers is put them between the two boards. I got to cut them down a little longer, 12 inches now. I'm going to make them about 11 and a half. But that'll give me the spacing I want between the two boards. And then I can attach my face frame and that side piece. I'll have to cut these, rip these down to width. I'll make those slightly oversized as well, width-wise, so that I can flush them up. Other than that, I think that's about it. So I'll just take these to my chop saw, I'll cut off about a 3/4 of an inch, should be good. Alright, I've got my top and bottom of this shelf, my spacers in here, clamped down to my table, and I took my 3-2-1 blocks and got these as flush and perpendicular as I could. So what that allows me to do then is to take my rough cut piece here, put this in here, and then I will be able to make some marks. Now I'm making this the way my daughter made her other ones, and she knows that she kind of screwed up, but she put the cap on this way rather than this way. But that's life in the big leagues, so I'm going to just do it the way she did. So you have exposed end grain facing toward you. I'm going to make this flush. I've got some extra length down there. And this piece is just a hair wide, just fine. I'll flush that up with a hand plane or a sandpaper, one of the two. I'm going to clamp this in place. Some pencil marks, and I'm going to want to this piece